Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for coming on the Fox Den podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I encountered you because, as I told you before, I interviewed Let's Read, and I started seeing a lot of tweets from other YouTube narrators, and you're a prolific one on there who records a lot. And I saw that you have a southern tint to your content, being in Florida and investigating the sort of indigenous myths there, like the skunk ape, which we will get into. But not only that, so there's that kind of personal component there where I thought, oh, this guy's narrating stuff from my old neck of the woods. I also saw that you really made an effort after the tragic passing of the YouTuber Etika, who did a lot of reaction videos to Nintendo Direct. You made it an effort to start sharing like suicide hotlines and really to call attention to your followers about the importance of mental health. So I thought it'd be really cool to have you on.
Yeah, definitely. Etika was actually like the first streamer I ever watched myself, so I was kind of really sad about that in a pretty awkward, I would say, negative headspace, because I found myself, I'm like, why am I sad?
Right.
But it was kind of, it's not like somebody I knew personally, but it was somebody I wish I knew so I could have, been a shoulder. But yeah, I just wanted to bring awareness to that because my mom has bipolar and she goes through a lot of struggle with that, and my sisters do too. So I'm very sympathetic when it comes to like mental illness and stuff.
Yeah, I think that the stigma surrounding it, especially things like bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety disorders, is really harmful because so many people struggle with those concerns, and it can be really just like when people have invisible illnesses that you don't see them in a wheelchair or anything like that. The tendency for some people is to say, well, if you can't see it, then it's not there. Just get over it and tough it out. And so I like that at least with younger generations, now millennials and younger down to Gen Z, there's at least an effort now to say, you know what, screw that sort of mentality. Let's talk about it, get help out there. And the more you draw the stuff to light, the more that it's going to be acceptable to talk about it. And hopefully, we just might be able to avert more tragedies like this.
Definitely. We can only hope. It seems to be more normalized now, I'd say more than ever. And
Right.
I can see it continuing being more normalized into the future.
Sure. So like I said before, a lot of your content addresses some myths in Florida and some disappearances. You take a really interesting approach to YouTube narration where you will cover unsolved disappearances. What got you interested in that? Because I think that's a kind of a category I hadn't seen before.
It's kind of just like just curiosity killed the cat when it comes to that. Honestly, like
Sure.
I just saw these weird because I've always been known as like the nature guy when it comes to the community. I always just cover natural topics and obviously supernatural topics, but I mainly focus on like park rangers, state parks, national parks, just the woods in general. So I noticed that there's just like a ton of weird and just downright creepy disappearances from state parks, and there's just a alarming number of them growing each year. And I was like, well, what is this phenomenon? So I looked into it and started covering it state by state, and it just became something awesome. And I think it was just because like nobody really comes at it with my point of view. I'm not really trying to make anything scary or make it. I'm coming at it with just like what the facts are, what we know, what we can say, and hopefully we can uncover something that'll help.
Right, for sure. I think also one thing I got out of it, having a clinical mind and sometimes not turning that off, is I'm hearing themes of what happens. I mean, people hiking alone, and you hit on that. One of them, you're like, if you're going to go hiking, I think it was the Oregon one, please have someone, or if you have mental illness issues, please don't go out into the wilderness. I was really impressed with that because we can see some commonalities in those stories. We could see where things might have gone differently. The one where people saw a child wandering around, I think that was the Colorado one, was just heartbreaking to hear that nobody just stopped that child to say, hey, where are your parents? I don't know what happened. I know you're reporting the facts, but that sounded really like that was very disappointing to hear the reactions.
That
no one grabbed that kid up to help him out and maybe go to the police or something.
It's just disappointing to me because there's multiple cases of that. The Virginia one had that. The Tennessee
Yeah.
one coming up has that. And it
Oh
just
Lord.
seems, and I've done another one, and it's not state specific, but I've done missing children for state parks. And almost every one of those cases is like, they just weren't paying attention. And I get a lot of backlash actually from that Oregon one where you mentioned at the end of the video, I mentioned about, mental health and awareness, and there are hotlines and share that. I actually got a lot of pushback for that. People were like, how's that going to save anybody? I'm like, you don't know, like a lot of these cases, like a lot of people want to attribute it to Bigfoot and stuff like
Right.
that. And like, that's cool. That's fine. But I'm never going to do that because these are real people who have real pain and are actually suffering, and maybe being like, oh yeah, it's this thing that we can't prove exists. It just seems really disingenuous to me. So I want to be the guy that's like, well, let's try to actually help this. And the reason I do that is because I've actually had multiple families comment on these videos and give me extra insight and share stuff. Like the Margaret Beck one I covered not too long ago, the entire family commented on that. And that was awesome to get, the extra insight and information that I wasn't able to find. And it was cool to know that I was the first person to actually cover it on the YouTube space. So it was just tragic case that kind of like stuck out to me, and I was like, I have to make a video on that.
That's pretty impressive, man. Where did you hear about these cases? Just in news? Or
the Margaret Beck one was honestly just like I was scrolling through Reddit. Sometimes you'll see good, interesting stuff. On the side, I make comedy videos from like today. I effed up stuff and like Florida man stuff just because it's good to laugh sometimes.
Yes.
And so I found this random cross post, and I clicked on it, and it was about this Girl Scout aide who was 16 who was murdered in the 60s, and nobody ever really figured it out. And the case was just so messy, and it just was like, it just seemed they're like, yeah, we don't really care, let's just throw this girl away. And I was like, that just seems, it just like, when I looked it up on YouTube, there was nothing there. There's like 4 articles online. I'm like, well, I feel like this is something I should bring attention to, because that's kind of like why I do it ultimately. It's just like raise awareness for it. Like most of the time those videos are demonetized by YouTube anyway, so I don't really care about turning a profit, because it's like, to me it's just more like a passion project. And
geez, I don't know why that's demonetized. Is it the nature of the content being violent?
it's just because there's murder in the title. Like there's nothing in the videos, like they're very clean. I don't show them, like, it's not blood and gore going everywhere.
I watched them.
It's just, it's very documentary style, but it's just, it's just how it goes. The news can cover it, but
Sure. No, I think that's great that you're bringing attention to cold cases, and you're drawing some themes there, and you're showing what to avoid maybe if you're going out on hikes. And doesn't that say a lot about human nature, that people would rather attribute it to Bigfoot than think about negative real life occurrences like mental illness and the effects of that? That's a lot less romantic and cryptozoological, right? It's like, no, what is that going to help to tell somebody to get help for mental illness? Well, actually,
it sells a lot less books.
Right.
Yeah. It sells a lot less books. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's kind of how a lot of Bigfoot is when it comes to that community. Like, it's just, it's a lot about like, how can I sell you this or how can I sell you that? It's just all about, using the likeness and the idea of Bigfoot. I mean, because like, I don't know, it just seems to me like if we were actually looking for something, which, I'm sure some people are, there are a lot of legitimate people I've met over the years, but there's also a lot more that outweigh the good, unfortunately, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because it's just capitalism, you know what I mean? Everything is monetized, everything is branded. So it's just hard to really get into that stuff, because you can see the cases where there are families that are actually affected by these stories being told about their family members, and how they're harassed by people about it, and they just want actual closure, but they get more questions and then harassment with it. So I try to be like the opposite of that. That's like what kind of motivates me to keep doing those.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you put in there, these stories are allegedly true. It's like, well, that's, you know what? That's a good disclaimer. That's pretty responsible.
Yeah. Over the years, I've just learned to like disclose it as best I can. Like I started out like every other channel does, putting true in the title and all that, doing what you do. And then I just got to a point now where I'm just like, I'm not really trying to prove any of this to people. Like the podcast is mainly just stories that viewers send in that they claim are true. So I'm just like, these are claimed to be true. It's up to you to believe them. If you don't, well, you got a good story. That's ultimately what this is about, is entertainment. So, I don't know. I just don't see the point of trying to like, I guess like drill it in there. Like, these are true. the skinwalker really did a backflip. He really shot AK-47 bullets at me. I'm 12.
Yeah. No, I feel it. It's great.
I'm just like, it's cool, guys. You can choose to believe or not. If you find entertainment of it, just listen to it. If not, don't listen to it. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the best approach to take. And I mean, so one thing first of all, though, I'm getting ahead of myself. I was going to ask something, but I'll save that. What are your favorite kinds of videos or to narrate? What do you like the most out of the categories? Because you got a few. You got documentaries. You got videos where you read about the cryptids and the cryptozoological stuff. What's your favorite?
That's a hard question, but I would say I have to answer it in two ways. I have to say my favorite things to read and like narrate would probably just be like good old fashioned ghost stories,
nice,
unexplained series. Just because as a kid, that's what got me into horror in general, was ghost stories and movies and hunting and all that. And but I would say ultimately my favorite kind of video to make is the documentaries, because there's a lot of research, there's a lot of visual editing that goes into it, and that's ultimately like the goal where I want to end up doing more of that eventually. That's
impressive. Yeah, I think that your documentaries, I got to say, I listened to both the one on the Bunyip, which was fascinating, and on the illustrious Skunk Ape from Florida. And for listeners out there, I really encourage listening to both of those because they are done professionally. You went back into like the ancient periods of Earth before continents merged, discussing essentially the formation of Florida and how that could have affected the rise of this mythical ape creature that could have evolved from a smaller simian creature. I mean, that is beyond what you get in a lot of these YouTube videos about Bigfoot and other mythical creatures. Man, that was some intense work.
I want it to be memorable ultimately. I want you to, like, even if you didn't like the theory that I presented, which a lot of people didn't if you look at the comments, but I was like, even if you didn't like the theory I put out there, at least you would have came away with like, wow, this was well done. This was research. This was effort. It wasn't just like, there's a monkey out there. So it was just, cause I've seen I got inspired to do these because I've seen like so many people doing them, but then like you watch them and there's really it's just like more of like an hour of just like some old guy in a chair talking about how we saw something that looked like a Bigfoot once. And I'm just like, that's cool, but like I want to actually go and see these things and interview these people and, try to put together, an actual like timeline of what it could be. And the Skunk Ape one was pretty gnarly when it came to that, but mainly just because like there's not a lot of actual like text to the backstory of the Skunk Ape aside from it originated from the Seminole tribe. So I was just like, I have to, come up with a theory that could feasibly make this a real monster or a real creature, because that's what cryptozoology is at the end of the day. That's what I think we've lost a lot, is that people are they're calling it para-cryptozoology now, but I'm like, that just kind of makes it more of a joke than people already looked at it, because we're already chasing Bigfoots and monsters, right? But a lot of things that used to be cryptids were, there used to be one called Pongo over in Africa, and that turned out to be great apes, or gorillas. Then you had the colossal squid that was the Kraken for so long. And that's the most recent one, I'd say. But then you got like vampire deer. Like there's all kinds of cool animals that are cryptids, but because all cryptid means is an animal that could exist, but it's not proven not to. So a Bigfoot is feasibly an animal that could exist. Now, when you get into the world of crazy other things, and it just kind of, I don't know, gets muddied.
It does, right. And so I want people to go to your videos and watch them, but to kind of whet the appetite, the Skunk Ape is essentially, you nailed it, a Seminole tradition of the tall man defender, and you go into the potential origins of it. It's very, very impressive stuff.
Definitely was a lot of work, but T.W. Grimm helped me out a lot. He's a good author. He helps me out a lot with the scripts, and he's helping me on one right now. We're working on one on the Ninjin, and I currently am about to upload one on the Ravenmocker, so that's definitely something to look forward to.
Oh, that!
We're going into Cherokee lore now. We're getting up in pretty much toward where you were telling me you were from. So,
yeah, South Carolina. Very good research on your. I can tell. I mean, that's a fact there. So, and that's another thing that I would love to highlight is you definitely give dues to the native communities that originate these myths, right? You really attribute them well. And even your avatar, your picture, the deer skull thing. Tell us more about that, because I read people were trying to say where they thought it was from, and you made it up, and it's a tribute, but it's people were getting it wrong, the origins of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because it's evolved over my just about 3 years now on YouTube. Like the character has slowly evolved from, you know, and grew the antlers and grew extra parts of it. And this, the one that's my profile picture on YouTube is not even the actual like updated one. The one on the banner is, but I've just been too lazy to change it. But basically, it is a ultimate tribute to the skunk ape. It is the swamp protector, but there are I made my own little story behind it, but it is based on a legend of a swamp protector. Because if you don't know, like the Seminole tribe is multiple different tribes kind of came together, much like a lot of other nations from the Midwest did, and so there's like multiple different swamp protectors, but the strong one that they made, which most people think was just to kind of scare away the Spaniards. But there's just a lot of weird stuff around that too, because I actually wanted to add this in there, but I didn't. But there are encounters from the early Spaniards, but I just couldn't really verify those too much. So I didn't want to like throw those in there. But mine is essentially a totem, and not a lot of natives in this area of the country really use totems, but the Seminole did for some reason. Not much, but they would carve them out of like what we would call swamp cabbage, which is basically just like the inside of a certain type of it's palm tree. Excuse me, couldn't think of it. And basically, they do various different like blood rituals. Like they'll say they'll hunt a bear because it's very powerful, and they'll drain it of blood, and they'll fill this totem with the blood, and they will call upon it for protection, and it will protect the land that they live on, which is ultimately another swamp protector. And that mixed with the tall man, I put together and created the swamp dweller, which is ultimately just a totem with a spirit inside.
Yeah. Good origin story. It's funny. You call your followers the swamp dwellers, or the swamp, and I like to call people who listen to my show the members of the Fox Den. So it's like different little areas there where followers gather. It's pretty funny.
I feel like a swamp is like ultimately, like a lot of people, like it seems like it limits your marketability, but ultimately I feel not, because if you think about it, swamps are the most diverse biomes in the world. More organisms live in the swamp than anywhere else, all inhabiting. So that means this can be the most diverse community on the internet that has all kinds of people from all walks of life.
Absolutely. God, the Florida Everglades too. It did look very fascinating to hear about the skunk ape and how it could smell bad because of collecting all the sulfurous scents and things like that. That I found fascinating. That's like interesting origin there.
Yeah, a lot of fun to look into that stuff. The Bunyip was a lot of fun too, because there was a lot more information you could find and translate. So it's a lot of fun to do that stuff. Sure.
What interested you in that one? That was the Bunyip one was very dense. I finished watching that one. I thought, wow, you've got a lot of citations there. You've got tons of stuff from the 1800s. You've got Hamilton Hume and James Meehan discovered the bones of this thing. It was really almost like a mystery on 48 Hours or something. He's got all these bones involved.
Yeah, we went ham on that. I really wanted to nail the point. I really just wanted to nail that in there. There's bones. It was like I really want people to be like, there's been multiple skeletons. Some of them debunked, some not.
Yes.
But I've always been a big fan of the Bunyip for some reason. It was like when I first started this, I really was interested in swamp cryptids, obviously. And that was like the first one I found. And I was just like, but I never was able to like really find much information on it. So when I had my friend T.W. Grimm help me look into this, I was really excited when I saw that he like was able to unearth all kinds of stuff that I was never able to find and get all kinds of stuff translated for me. And it was just like insane. And it just like sparked like a whole new thing. I was like, okay, I need to make 5 more of these right now. It's just one of those interesting topics. And it's just such a there's nothing consistent about the Bunyip. There's so many different descriptions and so many different remains and so many different stories about
Right.
it. It just was like, seemed like something that was universal enough that could easily be put into the marsupial lion category or something along those lines.
That's what I got is as I was following along, I thought, wait a minute, somebody else just said it had hippopotamus, dinosaur physiology. Now I'm seeing pictures of reptilian humanoid creature. Now I'm hearing about something. Now I'm looking at a drawing from the 1800s that looks absolutely horrific with this almost horse-faced entity crawling out. And
Yeah.
I'm citing the drawing by what was the guy's name? Edwin Stocqueler. I'll just include a link or something. That's a rough name to spell. But
yeah, I had a tough time
sure.
with that one too.
No, it didn't sound like it. You pronounced it well. The drawing though is absolutely hideous, just because it looked like a melting horse or something. It just doesn't look earthly at all. But then when you explain that it could be the marsupial lion, you show pictures of that, it seems feasible. The Bunyip was interesting to me because if you know anything about Carl Jung and his idea of the collective unconscious, you nailed this concept that it could be like a collective unconscious fear of the Aboriginal people, right? Like an ethnic memory. They told it for long because this thing was alive up until like what 40,000 years ago, 14,000, something like that.
Yeah, they would have lived along it for close to like 5,000-6,000 years.
God. And so
Or
they
more.
could talk about this entity, and just like ancient fears of snakes and things that come from eons, as old as reptiles themselves and as old as humanity itself, you've got that potential for the Bunyip. I think that seems extremely plausible just because of how nuanced it is and how oral tradition passes through. And it's like the telephone game. It gets changed a little bit. Some liberties are taken.
Definitely.
It's kind of like the mythical, the origins of myths. So you wanted to do a project. You'd asked on Twitter if anybody was interested in raising money to donate to For Ocean. That sounds awesome. Do you want to plug that a little bit or talk about your love for the environment?
Sure, yeah, I would love to. For Ocean and the Ocean Cleanup Project are two causes that I really, really support. I want to say it was Norway recently became the only country that doesn't have waste, like at all, like in their oceans, and like it was like insane. I'm like, well, this is inspiring me because I've been saying for like a long time. I'm just like, we have like the UN and all these people patrolling the waters, and there's so much plastic in it, but nobody's doing anything to pick it up and do anything. So I'm just like, why don't we need? Then when I learned about these organizations, I was like, well, this is perfect. So I would like to try to raise some money on that. I don't have a date yet. I wanted to do it last month, but things obviously kind of been coming up here and there. It's like, if it's not one thing, it's another for me recently. But
oh yeah, of course, with the air
conditioning. It's been one of those months. Oh yeah, it's been one of those months for sure. But I want to hopefully do it sometime in August. I'll probably obviously tweet about that and put it in videos if you guys are watching there. And I'll make it definitely very much aware. But we're basically going to try to raise as much money as we can. And if we raise $100, I will match that on top. So I'll throw another $100 on it. If we raise 1,000, then I'll put 1,000 on it. And if it gets to a point to where I can't afford it, well, I'll just have to take out a loan and put a loan on top of it. And we're going to try to get these oceans cleaned if we can. And
my
have
gosh,
them around for everybody.
Finally, some good news, right? That's pretty awesome. I read that you asked if people would be interested in a video detailing and interviewing people who believe in conspiracy theories. Okay, you've got a doomsday prepper guy. Any progress on that? What are you thinking about those videos? Because boy, that could be a fascinating series.
See, like it's just like I have all these series kind of in the works that are like ready to go, but then like YouTube kind of changes their guidelines all of a sudden on us. So like recently they announced that they're going to be like demonetizing and completely like removing conspiracy videos from the algorithm. So I'm like, well, wow. Okay, so I don't really care about it being monetized, but the thing that sucks about them being demonetized and why most people get upset about it is because YouTube doesn't push the video. Like if it's not monetized, there's like, you know what, they don't even let your own subscribers know. So like it's a battle just to like that's why most people get upset about it. It's really not the money. It's just the fact that like YouTube discriminates that video basically. But yeah, they're apparently blacklisting that. So like now I don't know, maybe I can just like change the title, try to figure out a way to finagle it. Right now I have like 2 episodes ready, the Doomsday Prepper one, and there's another one with somebody who thinks the earth is flat. That was an interesting one. And,
okay.
So I got those ready. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to title this, or what we can do to like put it out there so it's not suppressed so heavily.
Oh, I feel that. One thing you could do is call it like unique beliefs or something like that. There's so much you can do with that, because if you've ever watched any documentaries on Vice, they interview people like that all the time. Like, and I'm not trying to at all denigrate the beliefs of anyone, but the indigo children, the belief in indigo children, have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a thing they did. And then targeted individuals, TIs, that is a rabbit hole. Are you familiar at all with that idea?
I've looked at some of it.
Wow, that's impressive.
I've looked at a lot of stuff. My girlfriend's dad is like crazy into conspiracy theories. Like he's big into it. So I know a little bit about all of them, but not enough to really hold a strong conversation about them. I try not to go down those rabbit holes because I've been down there before in the past, and like I always end up getting in this weird headspace where like I'm questioning everything. And it's just like I feel like it's just not like it's not a healthy mindset sometimes.
No, I understand that. I think it can, when you encounter these hypotheses and then the theories built out of them where everything has a hidden meaning or means something else, and there's just no scaffolding for any basic beliefs, there can be a burnout factor there for sure when you hear about so much stuff that's just negative or conspiratorial, just paranoid. It's not a good place to be some of the time. Yeah,
definitely. I found myself like not like easily paranoid, but like easily getting mentally kind of affected by stuff like that, especially like cold cases. So I try not to do them too often, but
sure.
Like I've struggled with a lot of depression in my life and a lot of like PTSD stuff. So like I still like feel like I slip into that stuff fairly easily sometimes. And I was like, yikes. Like I caught myself doing that, like I said earlier, with the Etika situation. I was like, dang, man, I haven't been watching him recently, so I wasn't really aware of the situation. And then it may just kind of put you in that thought process, like, oh man, I should have been a better fan, But at the same time, it's not like something you can't really do anything about it at the end of the day. So. But I find myself affected by that stuff, and I've noticed like a few. I think it was Kaylee Elise actually had to quit her channel because she was just having too many, issues mentally from all the content she was covering. Because she covered a lot of like Jane and John Doe's and a lot of children cases, and it was just having a lot of effect on her, and especially with everyday struggles that people have with their existing depression and anxiety and stuff like that. It can be a bit much.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I thank you for bringing that up, because it's fascinating now in our postmodern era that anyone is a reporter. Anyone can do this kind of investigative journalism. And the problem is when you start doing it on your own, there's nobody to tell you what to expect out of that sort of business, or out of that, even if it's just not a business, if it's just what I mean is YouTube videos, those can be monetized, but people go into it doing it for fun and as a passion project. And then they can get burned out because you don't have anyone telling you, hey, this stuff is going to wear on you when you think about it. If you have any degree of empathy as a human being and you're reading about this stuff, it's almost like being a therapist in its own right, where you're reading and you're empathizing with these people who aren't even there. And I can for sure see how that would burn out younger people and those who just aren't ready for that and come in with great intentions, but maybe didn't have the self-care in place to take away some of that trauma out of their minds.
Definitely. I feel that has been like what I've tried to make sure I rein in the most as somebody who does this on a daily basis, is that, mental health is important. So you got to remind yourself of that. And I feel like sometimes tweeting it out and reminding my followers helps me remind myself as well to, take care of what I'm doing mentally, not just burn myself out. Because, when you do this every day, especially when you cover weird things from conspiracies all the way to missing people, like in that range spectrum, it's easy to get lost in it, and it's easy to forget about yourself and your own well-being.
That's absolutely true. So I was just going to ask, what do you like to do for self-care? What you like to do when you're not recording these videos?
I the first thing I did was I tried to make like a solid, just like 9 to 5 job work schedule. Like Monday through Friday, I make my videos, and then on the weekends, you're off. Just hang out with my puppy or my 4 guinea pigs that are always loud and whining for more food. Or just hang out with my girlfriend, go for walks, maybe hang out at the bar or something. Just do social things. I've tried to force myself to be more social because for like the first 2 years, I was pretty much just trapped in a room making videos. So that definitely made me feel like I guess you could say like a recluse in a sense, and like made me socially awkward a lot more than I already was. So I've been trying to just do things that would be fun for me to do as well as, good for me to do.
I think that's inspirational. Sometimes when we don't feel like going out and doing things, it's surprising that if we do it in spite of that, we might enter a better mood, right? We can't predict if we're going to have a good time or not. We may think, oh, it's going to be terrible because we're in that negative headspace. But when we get out there and do something, it's like, oh, I didn't expect that I'd have friends around who made that joke or who cheered me up in that way. I see that a lot with clients. You're just predicting negative stuff. It happens to everybody. When you're in a bad mood, you don't see that you're going to get out of it.
Definitely. That's why I try to be that guy that's always like, let's look on the bright side. Cause like, there's always a bright side for the most part, even if, it's kind of a dim and dull day, there's always a bright side. I mean, right. I was pretty negative about my broken AC, but at the same time I got a fan. So there's a bright side.
There you go. Ingenuity. So that is great. So you said you enjoyed reading stories with strong Southern undertones and having to explain Southern terms to people in the comments or in the videos. Tell our viewers or listeners rather some of those, because I wanted to hear that. That would be interesting if you can remember.
I've got quite a few. It's a lot of fun because I'm from Florida, but most of my family's from like Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, and I grew up in my teenage years up in West Tennessee.
Nice.
East Tennessee, excuse me, and West North Carolina.
Sure.
And so like I never really had like the hey brother like all the rest of my family does, but but my favorites are like yins, like when because everybody thinks like Southerners say y'all, we say yins. Real Southerners say yins.
And that's really, I can't believe you said that, because that would be what my grandparents would say on my dad's side. And I never heard that phrase outside of there. That was in North Carolina, and I'm from South. Well, I mean, I spent time in both. It's kind of, they're really similar. So.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's not much different. It's just the only difference that I can say, and this is more just a joke between South Carolina and North Carolina, is South Carolina has crappy roads.
You ain't kidding. That's
I've driven up there going through from Florida to Asheville, and I had to go through like some of freaking South Carolina, and it's miles of black ice on the worst highway roads you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
The potholes everywhere and like haven't been paved since like 1963.
Right. Yeah, they
it's pretty bad.
Some more tax dollars to that, that's for sure. Whenever I go back and visit, I think, that's about right. I remember these roads, so that's funny. So yuns is a good term. Boy, I haven't heard that in years. That's funny.
Yuns, come here right quick. Let me go down yonder right quick. Get the polecat, get the shotgun right quick, buddy.
Polecat, yes, for skunk.
For skunks. Yeah. Every time I say polecat, people are like, the what? I'm like, the polecat, brother. They're like, that's a skunk. I'm like, yes, a skunk. I said that. Like, polecat, brother. What more do you want?
Oh, that's great. Fixin' to. People don't like, I'm fixing to. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Not the food either.
No. Fixing to as a
I'm not fixing to whip that ass, boy. And he's like, oh no, Dad, please.
No.
You won't hear that. You won't hear that much anymore, sadly. But in 2019, but sometimes I wish you could give a good old Southern butt whooping, like you used to back in like the 90s or early 2000s.
Only 90s kids will remember Southern beatings and abuse.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh man. They'll be like, oh, it looks like somebody has to get up at 4 a.m. and clean all the pig troughs. Yay.
Yeah, no, that's such a good segue, because I saw on your tweets that you talk about the swamp hogs. Tell us about the swamp hogs, because I'm familiar with those. Are there some pigs, obviously, that you got? Hogs.
This is about to be really awkward for you, but funny for me. But the swamp pigs that I'm referring to are guinea pigs.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's right. The ones. Okay, you just.
Yeah. A lot of people
about-
think that I'm actually talking about hogs. Like I had hogs when I was a kid growing up, but like no, these are just little guinea pigs. They're swamp
Oh,
pigs.
that's great. I
Yeah.
actually thought, oh, there's the pigs. I thought briefly, but then I wanted to see, okay, are they real hogs? Because hey, anything's possible.
Oh, anything is
Especially
possible.
in Florida. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I might have a couple alligators back there. You never know.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. Did you see the picture floating around? No pun intended. Of the alligator swimming around with a knife in its head.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was.
I mean, look, I can.
That's Florida in one picture.
It really is. I can see how that wouldn't hit its skull, and it's just kind of just sitting there with it's just the knife is, and I like.
Yeah, there's one spot in the top of their head you have to get to basically be able to kill them, but like usually you have to shoot it. So
yeah. I mean, gators are really the final boss of Florida. I mean, you got one weak spot there. I mean, they're bullet sponges.
It's on hard mode the entire time, or it's on expert, excuse me. It's just like cheat codes on the max. Like they bite you, they don't let go, and then suddenly they're about to drag you and then roll you, and you're already now you're drowned too. You're like shit. Now
yeah, I remember watching the like Animal Planet crap like that, and it was just the way they would roll around. It's just, and you think, well, that's how they would drown their prey.
Yeah, and also rip their limbs apart. So make it easier for them because they don't chew their food. A lot of people forget that. They just rip off massive pieces of it and swallow it.
Right. Yeah.
They're trying to get it down as quickly as possible. And that's why a lot of people are like, why don't you go out in the woods anymore? I'm like, because I'm scared of bears. Why? Because they eat you alive. They don't care.
I didn't think about that.
Bears get on top of you and they just eat you. They don't care if you're still moving, if you're still breathing. So like they pin you down and they just start eating you. If anybody's ever seen the lost footage of the grizzly man, that when him and his girlfriend got wrecked by some bears, you just hear them eaten alive. That's why they're screaming, because they're not killing them. They could kill them really quick, obviously. They're 1,000-pound bears. It's not going to take them nothing to kill that guy. But they just start eating you right away. So I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't really go out in the woods anymore. And Florida has everything in the woods. We have wolves, we have bears, we have bobcats, coyotes. We apparently have skunk apes. I don't know, man. We got chimpanzees, orangutans, all kinds of stuff running out there. So I'm like, I'm not trying to play with any of that.
No,
I'm gonna stay inside.
God, I had no idea that the bears would eat. I didn't know that there was some footage, the unreleased or the footage of Grizzly Man. I thought that stuff was suppressed.
Oh no, you can find it all over. I could send you quite a few links if you want, but a lot of like horror channels cover it, so I've seen it quite a bit. But they did like a whole documentary about him and his girlfriend that got killed, and they kind of like showed bits and pieces.
Yes, and that was with that famous director.
Yeah, I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna look at it because he's a seminal voice of cinema there. Boy, bears. Okay, staying away from them. That's
yeah. Bears are a no-no. Gators, like I don't know. I swam with gators most of my life, so like I'm definitely scared of them and vigilant. But like I'm also kind of mad at my parents. I'm like, why would you ever allow me to go in this water when there's gators 10 feet away from me? And they're like, it makes you strong, brother. It was like, all right. So I got it.
Right. Werner Herzog, that's who did it.
Yeah,
Werner Herzog, the famous director, and his voice lends credence and gravitas to almost anything. He could read the nutritional facts off of a Fig Newton bar, and it sound just absolutely urgent. So he makes that documentary even more dismal sounding than it is, given the context and the subject matter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
God.
Florida's a melting pot of it's basically just Australia with like a few more like testosterone boosters,
That's a good way of putting it. That's a good clickbait title.
So we're not a species meant to survive here.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, you said it's the Everglades are the biome that the most biodiverse environment. I think that's a amazingly fascinating point. So talk to us about the T.W. Grimm. We can plug his stuff a little bit because I know you do in your videos. You reference his writing abilities, and he's got a lot of stuff on Amazon. or a few things, I should say, on Kindle and.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's got I think most of his stuff is on Kindle. So if you have Kindle, you can get him for free there. He's got quite a few paperbacks. He's a great horror themed author. It's a lot of fun because he can suspend your disbelief very well, but he keeps it all based in reality a lot of the times. So like he definitely helps me with my research too when it comes to a lot of these trying to keep these cryptid videos grounded, because a lot of reports you'll find aren't necessarily grounded. So it's really hard to like find somebody who has that same mindset as you to be able to help you shift through all the BS in a sense. And I think he does a great job of just creating like really awesome short horror stories, and he compiles them in the books. And he also has books that are obviously just one story from start to finish. And he's done quite a few collaborative books with a lot of people like Vincent Venicavo, who's very popular in the horror writing scene. Man in Lisette, another one, or Lisette. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I don't know. I apologize.
Yeah, something like Lisette, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of cool stuff, and definitely is somebody I'd recommend if you're looking to have something written for you. If you're like a narrator or somebody looking for a good creepypasta to be written, he's definitely the guy to go to and show him your doll hairs.
Not that's a great point if somebody needs some stuff to read. So he has a book called When the Stars Fall. It's got 6 5-star reviews. So that's pretty impressive.
Definitely an underrated writer for sure. Definitely has a lot of good reviews, but should definitely have a lot more of them.
Yep, Southwestern Ontario, author of 99 Brief Scenes from the End of the World. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, well, yeah, listen to your boy and go over there and check it out. Oh, you want to review horror movies too, right? You asked the audience on Twitter if they were interested in that. That could be a really awesome direction. There's so many old school horror movies and weird VHS releases that haven't even been touched. For the what were you thinking about reviewing? Where'd you see that going?
I have an insanely way too big movie collection for my house that is mainly based on early 2000s and late 90s horror movies. A lot of psychological movies, a lot of suspense films. I'm not really into like slashers that much.
Sure.
So it would be a lot more stuff along the lines of like, say, like Hide and Seek, The Sixth Sense, The Happening, just more psychological driven stuff, things that make you think, movies that make you care about the characters. My biggest problem, like I tried to do horror reviews in the past, but I ended up just finding myself like kind of like crapping on a lot of the films because I was like, wow, this was bad. And I was like, I'm not going to review new movies because I'm always having more bads than goods. Let's review movies I actually want to review. So I think I'm going to do a series of that and go through each year, maybe like an anthology of like a bunch of horror movies from 2000 and go to 2001, etc.
Beautiful idea. Yeah, the early 2000s was an interesting time for film and culture in general. You look at the aesthetics, it was like 20 years out from the 80s, and a lot of the uber sort of garish, very gaudy effects, the big hair, the big colors, bright stuff. And in horror, it translated to just a lot of over-the-top stuff.
Oh yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, we got like The Grudge or Ju-On, the remakes and all that, and a lot of good stuff came. The Ring, obviously, the Rings were around then. We got like Strangers, When a Stranger Calls remakes, like tons of like awesome movies that like don't really get a lot of love. And then obviously M. Night Shyamalan was pretty prominent around that time. So there's a lot of interesting and underrated movies for sure, but. I mean, I think I'm going to cover on just about everything because I've got everything from like the 10 different Pulse movies to, all the way to like the spectrum of like movies that just came out like a week ago, or not a week ago, well, on DVD like a week ago. But
I'm planning to see Midsommar late tonight with my brother and some friends. I don't know if you've seen that yet or if you saw Hereditary.
I have not. I've actually heard a lot of good things about it, but then I've seen the other card. I really need to catch up on a lot of the newer ones. I've just been so busy with the whole YouTube thing that I forget
of course
they exist.
Yeah, Hereditary was just one that was just absolutely shocking, and at times when you didn't expect it. And the way it addresses family dynamics with mental health and paranoia, I think was expertly done, and so you may get a kick out of it after narrating the kind of stuff you do that has a lot of real life. I mean, that is real life stuff. It's very, very well done, and it's not hokey and and funny or kitschy. It's just very gritty. The Hereditary is so it's pretty fascinating stuff. Yeah, I remember the 2000s horror. It's a lot of stuff like the Saw movies, which is kind of the slasher gore fest stuff, right? Hostel, just over the top for the sake of itself. Not that I'm not bashing those movies.
No, I love both those movies. Honestly, right. I'm one of the few people I know that really actually just like loves Hostel. Like I don't even like Eli Roth, to be honest, but I like Hostel. But
he's a character. He did a whole documentary series on AMC about horror movie tropes like zombies. Yeah. He's very charismatic, high energy horror guy.
Yeah. I've roasted him a lot in the past.
Oh.
No, I don't. He's good. I like him, and he's got that Crypt TV thing going on YouTube now, so that's really cool. I think he's redeemed himself with Crypt TV, but he's had a few movies like Cabin in the Woods and the remakes, and there was a few things that are just like, I don't know, Eli. I don't know.
The Green Inferno was interesting because he was trying to make a new version of Cannibal Holocaust, which was one of the most disturbing movies known to man. I can't at all recommend that to anybody because, I mean, it's some trauma.
I've seen it, and people were like, this is like the scariest movie ever.